Hey guys, I'm going to do a quick video on how I set the domes on the or the bezels on these small the cabochon settings. A lot of times when I'm doing these in wood, I don't do a soldered bezel, so I'll buy these bezel cups from Rio, and they're pretty nice. They're not great. They usually fit pretty well, and they're not too bad to work with. They're thin, but not bad. And what I do is I use these to set the stone so I get some reflectivity from behind, and also get a nice silver bezel around it, and then I'll actually glue the whole setting into the wood. If I'm really worried about it coming out, I'll sometimes solder a stud to the back of it. You can see I have holes in my plate for doing that. It's not really a big deal. I've never had one come loose, so I don't really worry about it too much. I have this plate here that I've drilled and set with a bunch of different size holes. So this is for like I think it's a 5mm. I think this is a 6, or this is a 6. This is an 8, something like that. And they're different sizes. You just measure the outside of this with a pair of calipers, and you can go out big as small as you want. Just to make sure you have the correct bezel for your cup. Sometimes these are a little rough, so what I'll do is just take some 400 or 600 grit paper and just sand the tops a little bit just to make them flush. Not a biggie. Then what I do, and sometimes I'll set these with a little bit of glue as well. You don't generally need to. So it wants to fit reasonably tight in here, and then you drop your stone in. If you're not going to set the stone immediately, always put a piece of dental floss underneath so you can get the stone out without breaking the bezel, or drill a hole in the back of the bezel so you can push the stone back out of the bezel. So that should be good. These fit fairly loose, so I can usually just pop them out. Now, this is the tool I use to set them. I used to use a burnisher like this. You know, these are the commercial burnishers you can get. This is a curved one. I have a flat one too, and these are nice for a lot of things. And I used to set it that way, but the problem is if you slip, you scratch the stone really easily, and it's very hard to get enough pressure on the corner. So I switched to this style press setting, and this is just a piece of, I don't know, 1084 or something that I don't know how well it shows up on the camera, but I just forged down like a roughly tapered section and polished the last little bit. This is hardened, tempered back a little bit. The face is hardened out or polished out really well, and then just taken to like 2000 grit paper, and I just did this just so it has a little bit of stick, and then I just stuck it in the graver handle. I made a couple of these in different shapes and different lengths. This is my favorite because I can palm it, so I just palm it. You know, I can just hold it like this, and I get good control and power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just setting one corner by rolling up. You can see how that rolls up, right? Show. Maybe not. Let's see. Yeah, maybe. Then I'm going to come opposite and do the same. So now I have two flats on each side. I'm going to turn 90 degrees, set. Now the stone can't move. It should be centered in there. So I'll start to go from the corners. There. 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 And there. And then all those corners. And I'm pushing moderately hard. And I'm putting my weight into this. I'm not... You'll see how I'm pushing upward a little this way. I'm trying to roll that silver around the top of the stone, because that's what actually makes the stone get held in place. And I just go around in a circle once I have the corner set like that, and just keep going until it touches everywhere.
Now, once you have it touching everywhere,
this, it'll be a little uneven. That's fine, that's normal. And then the top of this will be kind of beveled inward because you've pushed this over and you originally were flat. So the next step is to just come from the other side straight down, right? And you want to sort of just burnish that surface. Sometimes I'll flip this around in my hand this way so I can, there we go. You see how I've kind of smooshed that down a little bit. I don't know if this will show up on the camera, but on this side I get a much wider, smoother line than on this side where I have this rough kind of angled cut. And that's what we're going for. Ideally, the polish on this should be enough that you're actually kind of polishing the silver as you burnish it down. And this will kind of clean up any surfaces. There we go. Now I just push around like this. There we go. That's a nice stone. You can see it's not moving in there. It's a good setting, and it's set hard into here. Now, what I'm going to do is just take a small file or a pair of tweezers and come from behind. Not that pair of tweezers doesn't fit, and just pop the stone up. And that's my setting. So now this is nicely set. It's all polished up. The stone's nice and solid in there. And all I have to do is have my hole set for the right height so that this will be just proud by like that much. You know, I'll even do this in steel settings sometimes because if it's in a Damascus setting, you know, if I'm setting the stone into a piece of Damascus, if I etch it first, I can't solder it. If I solder it first, then I have to set the stone after etching, and it gets a little bit weird. Like it can be really easy to scratch it. I can mechanically set these in place, but then I have to figure out some way to allow for that mechanical setting. So I found that the easiest way to set these in a piece of Damascus that's going to be etched is to drill a hole, undercut it a little bit on the side. You know, sometimes I'll undercut these a little bit with a chisel or a graver on the edges a little bit where it's not going to show, and then set them with just epoxy. And if I ever need to remove them, I can just preheat it and take it out. But there we go. That's how I set the cabochons.